Hey guys, this is Rob from Classic Car Living, and I'm here with
Victor, and this is my 1969 Mach 1 S Code.
So Victor, tell me a little bit about this car.
Well, this was a car that I picked up in Indiana almost about 14 years ago now. It was a car that did not have an engine at the time. It was just parked on the side of a Mustang place where they sold parts and cars and stuff like that, and I decided to take it on as a project. I didn't think there was much to do, but there wasn't that much rust seen from the outside. But as you'll later see from some of the pictures, there was rust all over the place. I took it as a project car. I had a Cobra kit car at the time. My wife and I were really enjoying it, and we decided to get something that we could pack the kids in and go to shows, unlike the Cobra. So we were looking for a four-seater Mustang, and we found this, and we thought it would be a nice project car, something that we didn't have to put too much money into and get rolling. Unfortunately, that wasn't the case.
I was going to say, not too much money. Talk to me about that. What do you think?
So
did reality hit?
Reality hit. I have the entire project book there with me. You can see invoices after invoices after invoices. As we started opening up the car, more and more rust came on site. And it comes to a point that I had to decide whether to keep going or pull back on the entire project. This is not like what you see on the shows. Reality is that there's a lot of money, there's a lot of investment into these things, and there's a lot of time that it takes.
Tell me, how long did this thing take you to completely finish?
To completely finish, it took about 4 years. The car was for almost 3 years up in North Florida, near Stark, Florida. Everything worked good at the beginning. He would let me go and work on the car, but it came to a time the car was just not moving. And it was money and money, and the car wasn't moving. So I decided one day to go with my nephew, his truck. We rented a U-Haul, a car hauler and a U-Haul. We packed everything up, and we brought the car home to South Florida, and that's when, a year and a half later, I finished it. So one of the important things, if you ever think about putting one of these cars together, is to build yourself a book. So I put together a book with these pictures. Here you can see the outside of the cowl, so it doesn't look too bad. But when we opened it up, this is basically what the cowl looked like. At the time, I had not seen your video on how to buy a classic car. This is one of the things that you mentioned, is to pour the water in here and see if it leaks on the inside. So you can see actually how bad it was. All of that needed to be completely replaced. These were the torque boxes that I talked to you about.
Wow.
That was the rust there. These were the floor pans. So this was a lesson learned. And for all of those out there who may be doing anything with the floor pans on this Mustang, once you go and you have to replace 2 floor pans, my suggestion is just replace the whole sheet. It's going to be better in the long run, because you never know, you may have more rust on the floor pans in the back, and that's what I would have done. This cost me more money and time. I ended up doing 3 out of the 4. Right. So again, it would have been better just to. The whole front end was taken apart. Important things about this: when you start taking panels apart on a Mustang, and it is important that you secure your frame, because it could very easily bend if you don't.
Because it's a unibody.
It's a unibody, correct. So once we started taking the front end apart, we make sure that it was secured. We got drawings to make sure all the dimensions were correct. Once we were done, I had to procure those through someone who used to work at the Mustang plant, and he had the drawings, so I was able to get that. And then you can see the progression. This was not supposed to be a full restoration, but you can see every single bolt was off this car. There you see it on the rotisserie. So it was a matter of taking everything apart and then putting it back together. And as I say, halfway through the project, I almost sold the entire project.
Why is that?
It was just money, 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 money. And it seemed like it was a never-ending project.
So advice to somebody who goes into a project thinking, oh, you know what, it's
So
not that
whatever you think it's going to cost, double it plus 20%. Okay.
Wow.
Because at the end of the day, you're doing it yourself. You want to make it right. You want to make it look good. So this is where you go the extra mile. Again, I don't regret doing it. I would not do it again. It was a great experience. My suggestion is, if you're not really into the restoration, you're not going to do a lot of work yourself, is buy it done already.
Save a lot of money and time, right?
That's correct.
Yeah.
Okay, so this was the reinforced on the torque bosses. This is when I started coming to, I beat blasted the car. This is a very interesting. This is the side rear fender. So Ford actually silver soldered the piece onto the roof line. So we cut that at the production line, and we had to redo both fenders. This was bondoed to the max on both sides. So I wanted back to metal, so that's what needed to be done there. Once the car was all ready to go, we beat blasted it. Okay, and then we started the painting process, which this is one of the more expensive parts of a project that people don't realize. So again, a Dynamat, the bottom, this is when I started putting the interior together. Notice how nice the coatings I did on the underneath.
What is that? Is that the original color?
This is, so I did research on the colors underneath. Yes, this, I actually did this red here is basically done with a red type primer.
It's a red oxide, right?
It's a red oxide primer, correct. Okay.
Nice.
So all the wiring was brand new. This was Mustang Specialties up in Pompano. You asked me about the engine. This is the company that I procured the engine from. It's got hydraulic lifters.
Wow.
It's a very clean engine, all rebuilt. Okay, the engine still has maybe 9,000 miles on it. Okay, this is when they were putting it together there at the shop. You can see in frame coating, coated everything inside the frame, make sure I never have any issues again with rust. All in Leather Corporation, Great South Florida company to do any of your interior work. There's several people from the Mustang Club that use them. And this was a final. This was when it was finally done at my first show. I was able to show the car. So you can see from this picture, as the car is today, the progression that I made. Those were more original style wheels.
Right.
Through the years, I've changed it to the rally type wheels. I added the louvers later on, but still, again, as what I like to do with a car is still keep a little bit of originality to it. Okay, so this is a 390, which is a big block for the S-Code model. But I did some upgrades to it to make it a nice car to drive every day. So, you know, I put a MSD ignition in there. So although it looks like I may have an original alternator setup, it is a one-wire alternator. So that's a nice convenience to it. The brakes in the front are Willwood brakes, so they're all upgraded. I got slotted rotors on there. The radiator's an aluminum radiator, but still looking like the original. What interests me most when I was putting the car together is when you start researching all of the little items that make a difference between 1 year and the other. Like, for example, something as simple as this latch here on the hood, from the 69 to the 70, this little dimple here changes slightly.
Just this?
Just this right here. It's a little bit more angled. This is more than 90 degrees.
So this is for purists.
So it was very interesting to study and research things like that. And you know, if you're an MCA person and you're going to these shows, you know, they look at stuff like that.
Tell me about one thing about this 390s is the space on the space of getting it in there. How do you change the spark plugs on this thing?
So you go to change the spark plugs. This is very complicated. As you can see, you got all these hoses running through here. You can't get your hand in there to change the spark plug hardly, especially on the two middle ones. So what you have to do is you have to just crack it and then you put a little vacuum hose on the tip of the spark plug, and you start turning it with your finger, and that's basically the only way.
Yeah, because Ford, obviously, this is a big block.
So this is a big block, and there's once they went to the 428s Cobra Jet engines, now they really had to modify this. And if you see one of those cars, you'll see that there's a modification here where the strut towers actually bend in. What they had to do here, they use a reinforcement on the strut towers for this year, because with this size engine and the torque of the engine, etc., the towers would actually crack if they didn't have that reinforcement.
Is this an AC car, or did you add it?
So it is originally an AC car, but to procure all the parts for the original AC makeup, it was going to cost a lot of money and a lot of time. So I went with a classic air system. I did an aftermarket AC on here. Here's another example of the little purist in me. So on the spare tire, even though I have the Goodrich tires, I did put the Firestone wide oval tire, all the original makeup of the trunk.
What about this little wire here? Is that something original?
This goes back and forth. I see a lot of those with the Mach 1s have this, sort of like a little aftermarket thing to keep your trunk up.
Oh.
Instead of using a broomstick, this looks a little nicer.
So it's not that is not an original?
No.
Oh, okay.
So the weight of the wing here does create some weight on the trunk. So if you don't have it, just tends to slam down.
Gotcha.
Even if you look underneath the car, so you could see I researched, I put tags, I put markings.
So talk to us a little bit about those tags and markings. What are those?
So those tags and markings, as you can see, the one on the left-hand side there, basically it's about the differential on your car. Some of these markings were inspection markings that they used at the time.
For factory?
For factory, that's correct. So this car is a San Jose car. It's an early 1969. It was actually built in March of 1969. I researched how the inspection stamps were there. They were different at each of the factories. So in San Jose at that time, they used these stamps, okay, from the inspector. And so all these are more of the inspection type of markings that they used to use. So I researched this. Now, you could go to another Ford factory plant, and they could have used completely different markings. Like on some, you'll see here the paint okay on the side here.
Right.
So they didn't use this in San Jose at this time. Maybe they used it later. So it's all about, sometimes you can't just copy something that you see from another car. You kind of have to do the research of where the car was and stuff like that. Some people ask me about why the chrome valve covers. Well, you can see later, 1969 Mach 1s, S codes, etc., and they have the blue covers. So why the chrome ones? Well, they were leftover valve covers from their 1968 cars that they used in San Jose at that time, I guess just to get rid of them before they went to the blue one. So it's little nuances like this that I really enjoy. A lot of research, and probably if I were to look at it, there's more to do. Mustang buddies telling me they couldn't hear me coming. So now I got a MagnaFlow in here, and they don't kid me anymore. So this is an automatic car. Being an automatic for this year did not come with a tach. You spend more money than you think, but at the end of the day, you got something that you're happy with.
All right, so we just took a ride in Victor's car. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you, Victor, for having us.
Thank you, Rob, for coming out here and shooting this video.
Are you going to sell the car now or what?
I don't know. I'll take bidders.
All right, so next time we'll see you guys. Take care.
Thank you.